This clip is a preview from our new podcast, Chatting Vintage Games, which is available now on the VGC Patreon page. Support VGC at any tier to receive this new show every month. Thanks very much. Hope you enjoy.
What was your first memory of playing a piece of video electronic entertainment?
So mine's is really specific in the sense that my dad got a PlayStation, like an original PlayStation, for his Christmas in 99, I believe, and he got it might not. It depends on which Tiger Woods he got with this. I'll have to I would have to fact check, not that he would even remotely remember, but he got Tiger Woods and he got Spyro 1 in the PlayStation, and that just blew my shiny tiny mind. Spyro was like the first game I ever played, and that PS1 era was kind of dipping my toes into console. I wouldn't get more console centric until the PS2, but like a lot of people my age, my biggest kind of introduction to gaming was the Game Boy and Pokemon. Getting a Game Boy Color and Pokemon Yellow, and everyone in the playground having it, because it was the height of Pokemania. It was a different class. I don't think I ever made the connection that like the PlayStation and the Game Boy were both gaming. Like, they felt like totally different things. It was like the PlayStation is just the thing with the golf game and Spyro on it at home and Colin McRae, God rest him. But the Game Boy was basically it was like, you wouldn't go anywhere without your iPhone now. It was like that with the Game Boy. It was just a constant presence. So that's when it really kicked off. And then like I played a lot of PS2. Like, I have a lot of fond memories of PS2, and everyone had them. So if you in the Scottish weather means that a lot of the time you're in the house, like in your pal's house, playing PlayStation, and that kind of developed my love for gaming more in a sense of understanding like different genres and trying different things and all that kind of stuff, and renting tons and tons of games. We'll talk about that at some point, but that whole culture is totally done. And yeah, then the Xbox 360 PS3 generation was like, okay, this is a indelible addiction that will shape my entire life.
That's when it got serious.
Yeah, that's when it was like, I am completing like 70 games a year at this point. Like, this is getting a bit insane.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I wonder how many people, even in my age, like mainly kind of your generation, but even some in my generation, like their parents got them into it in the first place. Because even though I always say the NES was the first kind of system I really got into, when I was born, my dad already had an Atari 2600 and a ZX Spectrum, so I was still that was still ingrained in me even before it became like serious business for me.
No BBC Micro?
No. Hey. Not at all. This posh muck. Although we did, we got it at school, but because every school had one. But my dad always says that when I was born, he'd put the crib next to the telly, and him and his pals from work would come over and they'd all play Football Manager, like on the Spectrum, while I basically sat next to the telly. I'm all late, like asleep, so that was quite good. But
that mouth on your brain, the radio waves to the TV.
Exactly. I had no chance. It was destined. But yeah, it's weird. So like, although officially for me it started with Nintendo, like I learned to read on the Spectrum. There was a game called like ABC Liftoff or ABC Blastoff or something, and it was a crappy wee rocket, a space rocket, and like an apple would appear, and you had to press A on the keyboard for apple, and it fucking loaded the apple onto the rocket. Then a cake would appear, and you hit C for cake, and then when you filled the rocket would take off, and I was like, yes. So yeah, it's like it is weird, but because like if my dad hadn't been into games, I wonder if I'd had that start.
Was it a thing for you? Was it like were pals in school into games? Because gaming was like huge in school for me. Everyone had a PlayStation, everyone had a Game Boy.
Not so much. I had a couple who were into it, but it wasn't as big as it was like eventually. I think Pokemon played a large part in that, in getting it in the playgrounds, because our Pokemon was like wrestling stickers and gladiator stickers, and like the Panini sticker vibe was very big back then. I was the proud owner of a Bret Hart shiny, which nobody else in the school had, so they can all get it wrapped right around them. It was. I only had a couple of pals. Over time, more of them started like when the Mega Drive came out. Quite a few of them got a Mega Drive, and that kind of kick-started it a wee bit. But I was very much the video game nerd of the classroom. There wasn't anyone as into it as me. There was one kid, I wrote a thing on my website about this, it was really funny. There was one kid who
Sorry.
he never
You've engaged party mode for something.
for those listening, Jordan's lights have just gone haywire, and it's like
Right, let's just calm down for a second, because a notification came up on my phone that was like, do you want to, it was like something in my lights app, and I tried to cancel out of it, and it just started going like, oh, anyway.
appropriately turned the background into an Amiga type sky.
Yeah, it looks like is it the start screen for Hover Bother, where it's all just like every colour
just
you've
goes
ever
wild.
seen in the world? Yeah.
So let's show off how many colours this baby can pull off. There was a kid in my school who didn't play any games, but would always read all the games magazines I'd bring in. And because I was very much the Switzerland of video games, I didn't like take sides. So I had my Total, the Nintendo magazine, and like NMS Nintendo magazine system, and I had Mean Machine Sega as well, so I had all the magazines, and this kid would just read the magazines. Didn't really play much, but he would kind of do his research. And one day it was like raining and outside, so everyone was in during lunchtime, and we all decided to have a big, like, basically solve the console war in class. And we lined everyone up, and basically, like, including like all people, like all the lassies who didn't give a shit about games at the time, which sounds sexist now, but back then it was literally true. There wasn't a single girl in my class who played games. I got them all up and asked them to pick whether the Mega Drive or the Super Nintendo was the best. And people didn't care, like some of them like Mega Drive or whatever. And then we got to this kid, and who's well read on the subject, thanks to me. And we said, what do you think? And he went, Mega Drive. And everyone was like, all the Sega fans, they were like, explain yourself, why? And he said, oh, well, and I will never remember, I'll never forget this line, because you've never seen a kid get tore apart so much. And we were like 9, 10 at this point. And he said, well, I know Nintendo has Mario games and Zelda and the like, but I don't think anything will beat the majesty of Echo the Dolphin. And everyone just, like, both sides of both sides of the divide came together to go, Majesty, you prick!